Alright, we're back on gaming, and you know what? There's a number of things that we need to discuss today. That's right, because of the fact that I just don't understand how much hatred people have in their heart to think that they can do this in our community, and that we won't say anything. You know what I mean? But before I get started on that today, because there's a lot of hatred we have to talk about today, you know, unfortunately, we have to. You know, seeing that this is the close of 2015, I need to start off with something else. Maybe we need to start off with the birds and the bees. That's right. And I'm not talking your average parent talk of the birds and the bees. No, I'm talking about the birds and the bees when comparable to Japanese games to American games. Now, with that being said, I want to talk about this. Japanese games are a hard sell due to cultural sensibilities. That's right. That's what Kojima came out and said not too long ago. Now, when you think cultural sensibilities, you may think he's thinking about, oh, my feels and all this. Actually, no, he's not talking about that. Kojima is actually talking about things that we as gamers have said for years and were ignored. That's right. And it goes to show you that if it takes Kojima to come out and say something about this issue, that the media really isn't listening to our community. Not to mention, when we said something like this, all right, other gamers were like, no, you're absolutely wrong. For those who don't know what I'm talking about. Kojima came out and said they're a hard sell due to the fact of a graphic standpoint. That's right. He says that Japanese developers are having a hard time keeping up with the graphical standpoint of video games as opposed to the West because of the fact that it's becoming too realistic and it's taking up too much resources for them to just make their games and have fun. That's what he's been saying. That's right. He's also said that this is why you see Japanese games as of late cater more to the local base as opposed to reaching out to the West. When developers have tried to reach out to the West, they have failed on that many a times, number of occasions. I mean, should we talk about the example of Inafune, what he did with Devil May Cry when he tried to reach out to the West? We saw what happened there, all right? Kojima also talks about how, at this point in the game, Japanese developers, if they can't make it, it's a huge problem right now. Where if they can't do anything about it, they're going to fail. They're going to fail. And it's sad because if you think about it, I'll say late 90s. We'll say late 90s, early 2000s when it came to making games. For anyone who played Japanese games back then, I'm sure you have, especially on the PlayStation 1 when you had your JRPGs. If you look at the quality of story and the quality of games back then, I'm sure a lot of people say, yeah, they were kick-ass games, things of that nature. But because graphical, the upgrade of graphics, and it really is a graphics versus gameplay type of conversation right now that he's having. It goes to show you that this is something that has really hampered our experience when it comes to games. It has. And I understand that a lot of people love graphics, and I understand that a lot of people love, love to see all the, shiny stuff, and that's what you pay for because that's all they show on TV with the commercials. They don't even show you gameplay on commercials anymore. They just show you graphical trailers like it's a movie. And people rush out to buy it. You know what I mean? Like, this is what our community now has become numb to, I'll say. Because before it wasn't like that, and we know that. I mean, I can't tell you how many times if an RPG came out, fans would run out and try to make their own RPG. RPG Maker and things of that nature. So, it goes to show you that graphics really wasn't that big of a deal. You know what I mean? But apparently now we must have this. If we're going to buy these $600, $700 systems, depending on... And the thing is, back in the day, you still had a $700 system, Hello, Neo Geo. I shouldn't even say that was a $1,000 system with $700 games. And look at the graphics on that. But you have to understand, if you're going to pay for these, and I know a lot of people are going to say, but look at what we get now for the money. Still, that's not what I'm getting at, all right? Even though that could be a defense for, people who like that type of stuff. You have to understand that with these games, the demand on graphics, the demand on gameplay, and, like I said, back then you didn't have all this time where you could just patch things. You know what I mean? You had to make sure you got it right on the first shot, and that was it. Unless you were a PC, player. Then you could patch stuff, But it goes to show you that the point I'm getting here is it took Kojima to come out and say this. And I think if anything makes me upset about that is the fact that it took a big name to come out and say this, which means our community, 99% of our community, when we speak up, goes ignored. Unless you're some type of e-celebrity or a big-time developer who will step up and say something for said community, it doesn't matter what we say. And when it comes to the media, they'll just ignore us. That's the sad part about things. And yes, there are some, outlets that will say, hey, we are listening to you fans and things of that nature. But you also have to understand that majority of what we've said for years and years and years, they're just now catching up when it comes to media. Hey, did you know such and such? And I will give you, I'll give you examples of that today as well, gamers. That's right. So, I want to move on. And I want to talk about more sensibilities. That's right, because for those who don't know, Bioware, I have to talk about this because I've said time and time again how these people, all they do is just spew hate. That's all they do. All right? We've seen nothing positive come from these people who decide that they're for equality, and all they do is spew complete hate, ignorance, bigotry. We see it all the time, do we not? They have not done one fucking thing positive. Not one. That's right. Bioware. Let's talk about how you have an employee, that's right, who is a blatant racist, and does not care, okay? Goes on to say that white people, that just blasts on white people how they're just, they're ignorant and things of that nature. Mostly he targets white males. He does. But he does get to a point where he starts talking about white people in general, and that's when he lumps, females in together. But I don't understand how Bioware can keep an employee like this on their staff without it being talked about at all. But look at this try-hard shit that he does, because he even goes as far as to hold up a mug that says, "White Tears." So let me get this straight, okay? White men being blocked on Twitter, alright? That's the first time that someone doesn't have to listen to them. That's what he says, okay? And that's just one of many examples of what he has said. So what I'll do is I'll put the link in the info bar to a number of tweets that he has left on, just going after white people. Now, before I get started on the whole white people not, being listened to thing, being blocked on Twitter, before I even get on that, alright? Let me say now that I feel as though Bioware, you should have come out by now and fired this man. Because if you want to say that you're really progressive, and I'll have some more links in the info bar I will be talking about, that's right. If you want to act like you're progressive, if you want to act like this is all for equality, then you would fire this guy. You would. Because it is racism. Regardless what race is being targeted, it's racism. Bottom line. Okay? Now, with that being said, I do want to say that I've seen on Twitter a number of SJWs trying to defend this man. It's his opinion, blah, blah, blah. I've even seen people come out and say, well, you know what, it's his right to privacy. That doesn't say anything about the company. Yes, it fucking does. It seems like a lot of people do not live in the real world. Because when you do something, alright, do you think that your job is still going to be there if you do something horrendous? Do you think that, alright? Because you are a reflection, a representation of said job. You understand that? So, for example, if you go to the corner and buy drugs, and let's just say you buy weed, petty weed or whatever, alright? And you get caught and you get arrested, guess what? You're going to get fired from your job because your job doesn't want anything to do with that. That's right. You represent them. They don't want to be connected to something like that. So, guess what? They're going to let you go. It's the same thing with hatred and bigotry and racism and anything else you want to fucking call it. Why? Because your consumers, guess what? They're white. You have a number of consumers who are white. You think that they're going to stand for that? Nope. I guarantee you have a number of employees who are white. Do you not? I guarantee you have a number of people ahead of power of you, over top of you, who are white. You think they're going to play that? No. This is what I find funny because, for everyone who tried to say all men should die, and I said, earlier this year, I was like, you know what, but you have fathers, you have brothers, you have cousins. Should they die? You know what I mean? All men should die. You have employers who keep you, who pay you. You think they should die if they're male? Like, it seems like people don't understand what they're saying before they say it. Or they just don't give a shit. They just think they're going to come out and be edgy like this guy. Oh, I'm drinking male, white tears. Do we really need to get on this tears thing again? Because last time I checked, the word tears meant that you were drinking someone's semen. I just want to thank everyone for clearing that one up. But, since he wants to be a tryhard, okay, and he wants to act that way, I will say this, alright, because obviously this guy has never had any type of reaction, or should I say, encounter or experience with people who are white and who are poor. Because if you go down into bad neighborhoods, guess what? There's white people that live there too. Do you think they're being heard? Do you think that? Do you think that? Because that's what you want to say. White people aren't being heard, but, blocked on Twitter. It's the first time they've never been heard. Really? You haven't been down a bad neighborhood in your fucking life. That's what it tells me, okay? So for you to make such an ignorant statement, because like I've said before, you have all types of races in bad neighborhoods, in poor neighborhoods. White, black, Asian, Indian, doesn't matter. Poor is poor. It doesn't matter. But the way this guy is speaking as if every white person has a privilege, and that is a fucking lie. It is. Like I said, I take down right down to Kensington. Right, guess what? Most of the people who are on Kensington and Somerset, anyone who knows Kensington and Somerset, guess what? That is a high drug corner, all right? Most people who are on drugs, and we're not talking weed, we're talking crack, we're talking meth, all right? People who are hooked on drugs, guess what? Those people down there, most of them, they're white. They're white. That's right. Sitting on the corner. Sleep on the corner because they can't even stand up because of how much drugs they've taken. They're white. Yeah. All right? So for you to sit here and say that, they're not being heard or, they're always all white people, they have it all. That's bullshit. You know it. See? This is where reality steps in and says, hey, when you see guys like this on the internet who try too fucking hard, you got to call them on it. You do. I don't understand how Bioware can keep such an employee on staff. I also say this due to the fact that Bioware had no problem coming out and responding to the ending of Mass Effect, but you're not going to respond to this, huh? I said in the summer, and I gave you examples, and here's, as you see, this is another clear example, of the industry being racist. Not only just being ass backwards, but racist. Because, like I said, if we're going to talk about equality, and you have a person who's a minority comes out and says such hateful bullshit, guess what? Then they deserve to have consequences. They deserve to be fucking fired. I'm not trying to hear, well, he's a minority, he can say that. Get the fuck out of here. The real world does not work that way. It doesn't. Only in your little fucking fantasy land does it work that way. You have to understand, because, the first will say, well, he's POC, he can get away with anything they want to say. No, that's not how it works. It's not how it works at all. Regardless if we have been, and myself, I've been through these type of things, have been oppressed or been, mistaken identity or whatever by police or whatever in the past, guess what? That doesn't mean I hold all cops to a certain standard to say you're all racist. That would be fucking stupid. It would. But the fact is, this is how they think. One-track mind. Bioware, for this man to come out and say this, okay, and be blatantly racist, let's let people know this right now, okay? The same guy who says all this racist bullshit held a panel, that's right, and was praised by gay gamers, that's right. He held a panel about the media, misogyny, racism, and homophobia, and how it's wrong. Yet this guy does this. He does this. Yeah. When you become the very thing that you're against, it goes to show you that it's time that you hang it up. It really is. I find it funny that most of these people who take this moral high ground, this moral standpoint, and how they say that they're for equality, and how you should say no to this, they go and do it themselves. Like I said, just hypocrites. Hypocrisy all around. But that's not all. No. Bioware tells straight male gamer to get over it. Apparently, a couple years ago, this straight male gamer was upset at the lesbian scenes and felt as though it was absolutely wrong and it was being forced on people and things of that nature, what he believes. And Bioware just told him to get over it. All right? So, when you have these people saying, get over it, we need equality and all this, and then you have a guy who acts this way, there has to be consequences. Don't tell me you're just going to stick your fingers in your ears and we'll pretend this didn't happen. Bioware's Twitter is being lit up by people complaining, saying, look, oh, you have a problem with straight, not just straight male gamers, white gamers, but all white people giving this guy what he said on Twitter, I'm not buying any of your products. You know what I mean? That's, ever again. People said, I'm not getting Mass Effect Andromeda. Like, a lot of people say, you know what, EA, you also need to look at that you have Bioware under staff on this, and this should be a problem. So all these companies who are trying to make money, all right, do you really think they're going to let that money get messed up as opposed to this man acting this way? Like I said, it doesn't matter. Like I said, a lot of people sit here and say that, oh, he said it in a private space. It was private when he said those things. Obviously, I need to clean the brain cells up here a minute. I need to redirect your thought process. Because if you say this shit on Twitter, it's not fucking private. Alright? That's simple. It's not. If you're saying something private, guess what? Privacy of your own home, you're in your own, your own rights. You're not saying it online. You're not putting it out to the public. And if it was private, how is it seen? Because you should know by now, when you say something online, it's there forever. Someone's going to find the shit. Okay? So no, there isn't privacy online. There isn't. And this guy doesn't care either. Because people have tweeted towards him. You know what he does? He blocks them. Blocks them all. It doesn't matter if it's male, female, gay. Because guess what? There's people who are gay who have said this. So people who, I'm going to put the link in the article. Like I said, the link in the info bar from gaygamer.net who praised this man for his, for his panel and he's blocking gay people for having common sense. I wonder how you feel now about praising this man. Like I said, I'll put it in the info bar, you know, for him to say such a thing. Because that's not equality. I told you before, equality is sitting side by side and saying, hey, this is what we want. Not degrading one side, you know, trying to destroy one side, belittle one side, and then say, my side is better. That's equality. That's bullshit. And you know it. And like I've said before, okay, this does represent Bioware because he represents them as an employee. Thus the header why it says Bioware's racism. And if they don't speak up about it, and you know it, they'll be labeled that. They will. Now, if they do something about it, then I'll talk about it maybe in the future. Alright? Because that's what you should do. You should address it and do the right thing. But it seems like these days, that's not going to happen in this industry. We've seen it for a number of years now. Starting back from Cliffy B and David Jaffe. Like I said, when you act unprofessional, and you act this way, and then fans say, ooh, that's cool, that's edgy, he's one of... No, they're not. It's fucking stupid. It's called not being an adult. It's called not being professional, and you should hold them to that standard. It's amazing how those years, it was okay. And we saw this time and time again, because like I said, outspoken, wanna be edgy, wanna be fucking Hollywood. Remember the video I did years ago where Cliffy B went to that one show? He had a full fucking pimp suit on? Get the fuck out my face, man. Like I said, this is grandstanding at this point. It's not about your games. It's not about our community. It's not about the industry and the community being hand in hand and saying, hey, look, this is what we need so that we can have better communication. No, this is assholes just trying to be assholes and trying to get, you know, some type of views or whatever, or trying to become more famous. That's what the fuck it is. Because if you haven't noticed, since he said that, all of a sudden he's getting all these followers. All SJW, of course. You're one of us. Have you checked your skin color? You're white, and he's talking about you, but you're okay with that because he's POC, right? Get the fuck... Look, like I said, you gotta have some common sense to say, look, I'm for equality, but you're a fucking nut job. You have to be able to say something like, you have to use your own... You cannot follow this straight path that you're going to be a mindless drone, and whatever's being said, you're just going to follow. Because then you make yourself look like a fucking idiot. Seriously. You gotta have some type of self-respect. You have to. It doesn't matter what race you are. If you say something like that and target a specific race, you're fucking racist. That's simple. Let's move on. That's right. Let's talk about more sensibilities. For those that don't know, Destructoid, once again, which is why I don't listen or read Destructoid or anybody who, you know, works there, because we've known for a year now not to go to Destructoid because of how they act. Apparently, gaming needs more safe spaces. That's right. For those who did not see the article, I want you to look at this picture real quick. This is the part where he said, it needs more safe spaces. Yeah, you need more. Let me get it straight. You need more safe spaces and not more ways to alienate and harass. I find that funny because when this article came out, the author of this article started blocking people. So you don't want more ways to alienate people, but you're blocking people and harass because you're calling people a bunch of these. Look, let's get something straight. Gaming doesn't need a fucking safe space. It never did, okay? You want to know why? Because this shit didn't exist until you made this shit up. I put it like this. When you went to the arcades, everyone was around. Everyone was having fun and minding their business. Where was the safe space then? There wasn't a safe space. When you go to conventions, is there a safe space? No, everyone's lumped together because they're having fun and they're taking pictures and shit. There's a safe space that, no, there's not a safe space. The fact that you will come out and write this article on people who haven't read this article, I'm going to put a link in the info bar, okay? It's hilarious. You go on and say that teabagging in video games is a virtual assault. That's right. So let me get this straight, okay? You're playing a first-person shooter. You shoot someone, virtual assault already, you shoot someone, that's not a big deal. But as soon as someone hits a button that makes you go up and down, that's a virtual assault. Get the fuck, come on, oh my God. Come on, oh, ooh, come on. This once again, try hard tactics. You've got to be kidding me that someone, because look, you know what it sounds like? It sounds like somebody is salty. That's what it sounds like. It sounds like you were playing video games online, someone did it, and you said, damn it, I had enough, I'm going to write an article about it. That's what it seems like you did, alright? Because you've got to be kidding me after all these years that people have done it. And you should know by now, most people who do that, alright, when you get killed in first-person shooter and they're too busy teabagging, guess what happens? They get shot themselves. Because as you know in first-person shooters, alright, it only takes a couple seconds to get shot. All right? So it's funny. So someone teabags you, you get shot. It's like, yeah, that's what you get for teabagging me. That's the consequence. For you to sit and write an article and say it's a virtual assault. Oh my God. Come on, stop. Stop. The fact is, this has been going on for years. And now since we have all these sensitive people, these little snowflakes coming out of the woodwork and trying to PC everything up, and like I've said before, I'm all for equality. I'm all for, like I said before, certain things being administered. You know what I mean? Especially when it comes to moderation and things of that nature. Because as we know, gamers online, they act a fucking fool at times. Simply because, as we know, they're on the computer or they're on the game and they just act a certain way. Which I've said before is wrong. You should check yourself. You know better than that. Because if you're all face to face, this would never happen. You know that, okay? But when you sit here and you call this a virtual assault, that is fucking ridiculous. You know what? That tells me that you need to stop playing video games. You need to. Just stop altogether. You're hurting yourself. And the fact that people have called you on this, and for saying we need less ways to alienate people, and then you're blocking people left and right, alienating them, you're a hypocrite as well. I find it really sad that this is what you have to write in order to get some attention. All right? Because for all the things that you can write about, there's so many problems in gaming. You know, whether it's DLC or microtransactions or even how developers are acting. You know, when you can actually get into some type of stuff and actually spark some type of conversation, a real conversation, this is what you decide to go with. Virtual assault. The harassment. It's harassment. It's not harassment. You're playing a competitive game, and like I've said before, all games are competitive whether you're playing against said human opponent or against the computer to progress in a stage. It's all competitive. Doesn't matter if it's a first-person shooter or a puzzle game. It's still being competitive. You still have to use your brain. You have to have the reflexes so that once you clear that stage, you can go into the next stage. It does not matter. It's competitive. And just because someone takes literally a second to go up and down on their controller, virtual assault. Virtual assault. Stop. If these are the type of articles that have to be written in order to get some views, some clicks, to get attention, it's sad. It really is. There's so many issues that we could be talking about, and yet, this is what you chose. Okay. That's what you chose. Let's move on. Safe spaces. Unreal. Speaking of people who want safe spaces, you know, before I had said that every time I talk about Scumbag Prime, I would need a disclaimer. Alright? You know, amplify black voices and things of that nature. But I think we talked enough about racism, so don't need to do that today. Besides, the thing that I have to show you today, I don't think I need a disclaimer. It's quite obvious what the fuck is going on here. Scumbag Prime, alright? For those who don't know what has happened as of late, Brianna Wu has decided that, you know, Rev 60 looks great on the PC. It's just a shame that Gamergate would just trash it. That's right, using the actual hashtag. Let's look at that real quick. You know your career is going down the shitter when you have to use the very same hashtag that you hate, that you claim has harassed you, that you claim has sent you death threats, and you're trying to bait them to harass you more so that people will buy your game. That's pretty fucking sad. That's what it is, okay? Because if it's something that you hate, and it's something that you're trying to make a career, because that's what you did. You've made a career off of it, let's be honest there. You've made a career off of harassment and things of that nature. And the end of the month is coming soon, so I understand why you did this, because bills need to be paid, and if they see you're being harassed, then they'll just give to your Patreon, right? That's what it comes down to. I mean, let's be honest here. You don't have shit else going on. You don't. But for you to use the very same hashtag that you so-called hate, and try to say, please, come harass me so that people can see it. Fucking pathetic. And that's not all, people. The reason this is happening is because, I want to make this known, Brianna Wu booted by fellow SJWs for defending capitalism. I'll put the link in the info bar for that as well. You know, it goes to show you, when you've burned all your bridges and you have nowhere else to go, you'll come crawling back eventually. That's how I see it. Because that's what it is. It's a tactic to bait people, but you really are crawling back to those people. The very same people that you said, you know, that you didn't feel comfortable in your own home, and then went outside. Remember you went to dinner with a couple of developers, and you said you were laughing over, you know, over this so-called harassment. You were laughing over it, so you know you burnt that bridge too. So you're not being harassed anymore. Now you're asking them to take the bait and harass you more. That's Gamergate. Please do not fall for this. It is a pathetic attempt. It's a slap in the face, actually, of a bait. It really is. If you fall for this, then there's something fucking wrong with you. But the fact is, she, he, whatever, is desperate for money. We knew this for a long time. And yet, if you haven't realized, if these people, like Brianna Wu, do not scream oppression, harassment to keep their dollars up, they go away. Every time. It's kind of fucking sad, actually. But if we're going to talk about women in tech, right? Because that's what you keep saying. Women in tech, there's not enough of them. They're being harassed. And then we've seen women that are actually in tech and in gaming say, I've never been harassed. Well, that's because you're not paying attention or you have internalized misogyny. Okay, so let's talk about this then. Teen girls, that's right, to create games to play on Philadelphia Skyscraper. And guess what? I guarantee you it'll look better than Rev 60 anyway. Hell, Reboot from back in the day looked better than Rev 60. But these teen girls are getting together to make games. Teen girls getting together to make games to put on our skyscrapers here in Philadelphia. And I'll put it like this. If it goes through, I will personally go to those skyscrapers with a camera and I will show myself, all right, playing these games on via skyscraper. That's what it goes to show you that these women are out here. And I can't even call these girls women because, like I said, they're teens. They're still girls. They're still children developing. Whether it's games or developing their brain. Still developing. And this is what they're doing. What's your excuse, Brianna Wu? Teen girls are doing this. What's your excuse? Yeah, like I said, fucking pathetic. But there's more news. That's right. Lara Croft. Let's talk about this. The media, as I said, they don't listen to our community. I'll put it like this. The gaming media doesn't listen to us as a community, all right? But then when you have outside media who's not part of gaming media try and push this narrative that it's all just a boys club, it doesn't work. But I'm wondering why the gaming media still hasn't proven them wrong. Seriously, we have these games out here and you still haven't said shit. Oh, I forgot, because it works for your narrative as well. For those who don't know what I'm talking about, Lara Croft has company. More female heroes appear in big budget games. Where the fuck have you been? Where have you been? Because they're always in these games. They are. Whether they're the, main character or the supporting character. They're always in big budget AAA games. Always. What the fuck is wrong with you? Regardless if they're heroes or villains. It's part of the fucking fantasy. But no one wants to talk about that. No. They have to make it seem like, hey, there's more games for girls. So guess what? You should come and start playing more games, girls. That's what they're trying to do. Even though it's been there since what? 90s? It's a fucking joke. Speaking of fucking jokes, I want you to just check this out real quick. Because, for those who don't know, Felicia Day. That's right, Miss, oh, I'm so scared of gamers. Felicia Day has been called a legendary gamer. That's right. For those, let's look at the picture real quick. This is where, the title, they call her a legendary gamer. The ass kissing is so real. You've got to be kidding me. People, please explain to me. All right, because I need to know if there is something, obviously there's something I missed, right? There has to be something I missed. I need to know, what did Felicia Day do that she's considered a legendary gamer? I want to know. What has she done? Because, acting in a couple things doesn't make you a legendary gamer. All right? Playing some games. Did you win a tournament? Did she shout out final round of Evo? Is that what happened? Like, what happened that she's become a legendary gamer? Because I haven't seen it. The same person who said that I'm a gamer, but I'm scared when guys wear gaming shirts walking down the street, so I'm going to cross the street because I fear for my life. The fuck out of here. When people play themselves this badly, and of course it's not Felicia Day, but I love the way they're dressed, you know what I mean? Yeah, that street cred. Anyways, it goes to show you that this shit, they will take whatever, as long as you're in those ranks of that connection, because as we know at this point, it's who you know, it's not what you can actually do. It doesn't matter your skill as a gamer, because if that's the case, there would be a lot of gamers. Those people at Games Done Quick would just be elite, legendary gamers all across the board. They would. Alright? But no, Felicia Day is a legendary gamer. I don't understand this. I think it's the most try-hard shit. Like I said, we've seen a lot of try-hard things today, but this, I think this takes the fucking cake. I think it does. You've got to be kidding me that you would sit here. You know what? No. It speaks for itself. I don't need to say anything. The people who put this on should be fucking ashamed of themselves. Still, I want to know what she's done to be a legendary gamer because, like I said, you haven't won any tournaments. You haven't been around, all right? The only time someone paid your fucking attention was when you wrote that one thing about, guys, wearing gaming shirts. That's pretty much all it was. It makes no fucking sense. And to go out there and act that way, all right? To act that way is fucking pathetic. It's fucking pathetic. But if we're going to talk about legendary gamers, I would consider Jamie Lee Curtis a legendary gamer more before Felicia Day, because at least we know she's at conventions. She's playing the fucking games with people. For those who know what I'm talking about, Jamie Lee Curtis explains how gamers can win her black dress from True Lies. That's right. I don't even care. I don't. I would just love to play Jamie Lee Curtis in Street Fighter since she's a big Vega fan and she dressed up as Vega. So as far as I'm concerned, she has more credibility than Felicia Day does. You've got to be kidding me that this is what it's come to these days. Celebrities, I don't even know if you want to call Felicia Day a celebrity. I wouldn't even call her that. I really wouldn't. But Jamie Lee Curtis, she's known, you know what I mean? We saw what happened with Xavier Woods. He's known, like when you're seeing all these people as of late that are on TV or have been in movies and things of that nature, and they're coming out and they're saying, "Hey, I'm a gamer," and I'm thinking to myself, I'm sure some of you are. I'm sure you don't let that know until later. But now that it's become the popular thing to do, because being known as a gamer before, people would just call you nerd, dork, or whatever. They just call you a bunch of names. But now, since it's the popular thing, this media is the popular thing. Now everyone's a fucking gamer, and I find that funny because, like I said, Kim Kardashian has her own fucking video game. You know what I mean? Like, that should tell you. Lindsay Lohan has her own fucking game. That should tell you something. And now they're being considered gamers. Yeah. No. I want to move on because, like I said, at least I give Jamie Lee Curtis some credit when it comes to, video games because of Street Fighter. And we're going to talk about that right now. We talked about it not too long ago where I said it was rumored that Tekken vs. Street Fighter was been canceled. Because, the whole Akuma thing in Tekken. And now we're finding out that they're officially saying that no, Tekken vs. Street Fighter is still in development. And what they're doing is that Akuma in Tekken 7 is, Akuma, Goki, whatever. In Tekken 7, they're going to ride the wave off of that and then bring out Tekken vs. Street Fighter, or Tekken X Street Fighter, whatever the fuck you want to call it, alright? So, that's the news so far on that. Also, I need to talk about this because I'm sure you've seen it in the header. Sagat, that's right. Sagat, however you want to call it, has been oppressed. That's right. He's being so oppressed by Capcom. For those who don't know, Sagat is being kept out of Street Fighter V. Check this out. To maintain balance. They talk about how there's too many characters that have the same type of moveset or how you execute the moves. So Sagat, even though he's a popular character, is being left out. Are you fucking kidding me? So all these years, we've had a number of Shotos or a number of commands are the same for pretty much every character, and now you want to say that Sagat needs to be left out? Get the fuck out of here. No way. I'll put it like this. Sagat will be coming to you via DLC. I don't want to hear it. It's going to happen. Alright? For them to say maintain balance, get the fuck out of here. You gotta be kidding me. Anyways, let's move on to more about Capcom, okay? Capcom developers talk Street Fighter V depth and plans for 2016 and more. Now look, I don't think that, listen, I'll put the link in the info bar for it, but you should know how this is going to go. Like I said in a previous video, I think that they're going to DLC you to death for the next, when Street Fighter V comes out. It'll come out, I'd say DLC, they're going to milk you for about 3 to 5 years, I'm going to say. 3 to 5 years, 3 years minimum, they're going to milk the shit out of you with DLC. Okay? Because they need to keep this going. They do. Now, for their plans, we already know their plans. Capcom Cup and things of that nature. You're going to see more money thrown at tournaments for Street Fighter, because you got to keep it in the limelight, than anything. I think that Capcom really needs to slow down with their plans and understand what the gamers want. It's that simple. People are already mad because they're like, wait a minute, Guile's going to be DLC? Like, he's an original, he's an original character. Original 8 character. And yet, DLC. You know what I mean? Like, I think a lot of people are going to be very upset. And I understand why Capcom has done these types of things. They want to introduce new characters to make it seem like it's not the same game. However, right now it's in beta, so we don't know what's going to happen in the final product. But if these characters are really bad, people are going to be pissed off, right? You know, you can tell by tiers, you know how the fighting game community is. They're going to look at the characters, and they're going to look at the tier list, and they'll be like, wow, either these guys are on a really low scale and won't be used much, and we see it all the time, all right? Or, you know, we're going to have the same people say, you know what, I've been playing with Ryu and Ken since, you know, the beginning. I'm going to stick with them. You know what I mean? So, we'll see what happens, but I just think that they need to listen to the community more, and not pro gamers, but the community. That's what it is, all right? Because the majority of your buyers aren't in tournaments. The majority of your buyers aren't watching Final Round or EVO and things of that nature. They're not. So, just to let you know. Let's move on. Let's talk more Capcom news. Monster Hunter. That's right. Monster Hunter X ships 3 million copies, and the series total hits 36 million. Capcom, what have you learned? Because we've been talking for years why you haven't pushed Monster Hunter. As we know, as of late, you decided to push Monster Hunter, but still, you're doing this exclusivity shit. And you know what? And what I mean by that is, certain versions will only come to the 3DS, but not the Wii U. And people want, you know, the PC version to come, you know, the monthly one. It's almost like an MMO. But that hasn't come over here yet. We've got other versions that are like cheap knockoffs of Monster Hunter that are still around because you won't bring it to the States. Like Capcom, you had enough money years ago to bring a Monster Hunter Cafe to the UK, and yet you still can't give people in the West, all right, especially in North America, the copy on all, you know, platforms. What's going on? So you can pay for a fucking cafe so that people can play there, and it's a Monster Hunter themed cafe, and you got not too long ago, what was it, a Monster Hunter themed roller coaster and parks and shit? You got money for that, but you don't have money to bring the fucking game over here? Come. Let's just move on. Capcom and Resident Evil. Let's talk about this. Capcom says that physical copies are popular amongst fans in Resident Evil Origins Collection. That's right. Physical. That's right. Not digital. Physical. Which goes to show you that gamers still want physical copies. They want something they can put in their hand and say, hey, I have control of this. Because as we know with the digital copies, we know always online. We know with digital copies, they can ban you. We've seen it with EA and them. You know, oh, you said something wrong about our product and you got it digitally, we'll ban you from the fucking game. Like in your single player game. Like, there's too much control when it comes to digital. There just is. And there's too many problems with digital. And you're still paying this high fucking rate for it. Because remember, they said digital would be cheaper than physical. Now we're seeing it at times even more than physical, or on the same, you know, on par with physical when it comes to standard prices. So as far as I'm concerned, the industry has lied to you for a very long time with that. We have covered that before. We are not going to backtrack. We are going to keep going. But physical copies still rule. So for every time EA or whatever company says, yeah, our digital copies are up, blah, 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 this is the future, understand that physical copies, we still want them. And they're not going away anytime soon. Okay? Let's move on about more Resident Evil news. Sad news, actually. Very sad news. For those who don't know, this whole new Resident Evil trash-ass movie that's coming out, we know it's fucking garbage. We know this, alright? A stunt woman has her arm amputated after a crash on the set. That's right. All for this fucking garbage movie. And even Mila Jovovich came out and said she didn't think that the woman was going to survive in general because of the stunt. So you're getting all these people, and they're risking their lives. And granted, you know, they know what they're getting into because stunt men and stunt women, you know, they have it hard. But let's also understand that you still have to take some safety. It doesn't mean you can just be like, hey, all right, we got stunt men and stunt women. Let's do the most out of atmosphere stunts that we can do, and you know that's on them. No, you still have to take personal responsibility because these are still employees. These are still lives. Okay? There's a difference between doing stunts and still being safe about things. And the reason I say that is because that's not all. No. For those who don't know, a man dies after a Hummer falls on him on the set. That's right. So first we have a stunt woman who, you know, loses her fucking arm. Now we have a guy who the damn Hummer, a U.S. Army vehicle, lands on him and kills him. And this is all for the sake of a fucking trash movie. So you know what? I understand gamers are already saying, because I've seen it already in comments, that, you know, at least if they're going to die, at least let it be a good movie. At least their death doesn't go in vain. First off, they shouldn't be dying to begin with, all right? It's still a movie. It's still a stunt. But you should know your limits, all right? And I'm not saying towards the stunt men and women to get paid to do that. But I'm talking about to the studios and the director who knows what the fuck is going on. Because when you have all these stunts, trust me, when you have these stunts going on and these coordinators and all, you have a large staff that knows what's going on. This is how it's going to go. Break it down by the numbers. Go slow and things of that nature. For people to still lose their lives or lose their arms or whatever limb, for a garbage fucking movie. There's something wrong with that. You can't, for any movie, it doesn't even matter if it's quality or not. Alright? Movies do not supersede lives. They don't. They don't. Someone died. Oh, well, as long as the movie's good, I guess it's okay. No! It's not okay. I guess it's in vain. No! It doesn't matter if it's bad or good. It's still entertainment. And I think there has to be a lot of responsibility. At this point, when you have that many, you have a person who's lost their arm, you have a guy who has died, you know what? Shut it the fuck down. But as you know, the show must go on. Literally, it should be shut the fuck down. It should be making a movie anyway. Speaking of more movies, Assassin's Creed. That's right. Apparently the star, Michael Fassbender, has never played the games before getting the job. So, I don't see the big deal. But because it's Assassin's Creed, we've already seen the internet already say, breaking news, the first screenshot of Assassin's Creed. People got jokes. Look, it does not matter if they've played the games before. Look, these are actors. And like I said, they're actors. They could be gamers. Like I said, there's times actors are gamers, but they don't have that much time to sit around, especially when they're making movies. You got to think it takes about, 6 months to do a movie? And then the editing and all that. So they're already on to their next job before the movie even comes out. Matter of fact, they probably did 2 or 3 other jobs before the movie actually comes out. So you have to understand, if they don't have time to be a fan of the series, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't. It'd be nice if they were fans of the series, but you have to understand that that is not the priority. As long as you get solid acting, good acting, the rest is up to the director. It really is. That's, if anything, that's what you should be, directors and producers are what you should be worried about if they're fans of the series or not. And script writers, okay? Script writers, directors, producers. Actors, you can it's like plug and play. It really is. All right, you can swap them out. It doesn't matter. You know what I mean? But if you get a good performance out of it, then it is what it is. And Michael Fassbender is known for putting out some good performances. All right, so we'll see what happens. Personally, to be honest, it looks like another Prince of Persia. I'm just saying. It does, but whatever. And as we've seen, Jake Gyllenhaal has gone on to do great things. So, like I said, you never know. But in more Assassin's Creed news, or Ass Crud news, Ass Creed Syndicate gets 30 frames per second cloth physics fix. Yes! For all the glitches we've seen in this game, are you going to tell me that was a priority? Cloth physics? Come on, man. Alright, you know what? Let's move on to EA. Yeah, they're bullshit. They're bullshit. It is. They're bullshit. Okay? Star Wars Battlefront won't get any Force Awakens DLC. You would think that since the movie is so popular that you would come out with DLC, but okay. I know a lot of people will say, well, hey, at least they're not hitting us with DLC. Oh, you're still getting that season pass. You're still getting that season pass for Battlefront, all right? But no DLC. Okay. And in other EA news, CM Punk, that's right, will be playable in UFC 2 without even having fought in an octagon. So let me get this straight. You have a movie that just came out not too long ago, okay? Hugely, insanely popular. We've seen it break records. And you don't want to capitalize on DLC for said movie that would probably actually help sell the game, alright? Because the popularity of the game, the movie just coming out. But you'll put a UFC fighter that hasn't even had a fight yet in the game as a cash cow, just to get people. Okay, EA. Okay, EA. You're bullshit. I smell it from a mile away. So for people who say, well, they're not going to hit us with the DLC when it comes to Battlefront, good for them. Wait a minute, what? CM Punk's in the game? What? Do you even know how he's going to fight? Do you know his moveset? Do you know? No, you're just going to give him the standard default when it comes to, mixed martial arts, right, and jiu-jitsu, because that's all you can do. Because you don't know how he's going to finish people. You don't know what he's known for. Like, for example, Dan Henderson, Hendo, what does he finish people with? The H-bomb, that overhand right, because that's his signature move. That's what he finishes people with. So if he was in UFC, that's the move you really want to go with, because that's where, if they do it right, that's where all his power is mostly going to be. You don't see Hendo rolling around at his age trying to submit people that much now, do you? Exactly. So for CM Punk, it's pretty much create a character at this point. You're going to give him the default moveset, and then what? You're just going to say, but his image is there, so it's okay. I would think that you would wait. Or, I'll put it like this. Because for those who don't know, if you haven't watched my sports videos, CM Punk not too long ago was injured. He had a setback in his training, which I felt bad for him. And because anybody who's ever been in any type of training for any type of martial arts or, sports or things of that nature, setbacks like that can really hurt you. Like, mentally it can hurt you because you're trying so hard, to get there. The fact that he would have such a setback and EA still put him in the game and you don't know what his movesets are going to be or how he moves or how you're going to rate him as a fighter, because that's what they do now. Fighter ratings, like Madden ratings. You would think that you would at least take a staff to go out to his training facility and watch him. You think, or at least beforehand. But no, you're just going to put a skin on, a default character, and throw him in the game and say, hey, we got CM Punk because we need something that's going to really sell it. Because let's be honest here, we saw what they did with Bruce Lee last time, right? So, EA and their bullshit again. Anyways, let's move on about more bullshit, alright? And here's where bad news comes in. Bad news. Rocket League is nearing 9 million players, right? And I'm sure people are like, yeah, Rocket League, yeah, fun game. And then they're saying that they're playing aggressive DLC teased for 2016. Aggressive DLC. Yeah, get ready for that. In more news. Fable Legends microtransactions has been priced. Yeah, they've been revealed. So, I guess get ready for that. And Call of Duty Black Ops 3 now has microtransactions as well. DLC, season passes, microtransactions. Let's write articles about safe spaces and virtual assaults. Yeah. You gotta love that. This is what our gaming community, this is what we're dealing with right now. This is why people say the media doesn't have any type, and I put this, any type of integrity whatsoever. But speaking of integrity, that's right, the people who made, the order, you gotta talk about this. The founder already at Dawn says that they'll make a better game next time. For those who have not seen that already, because it was said on Twitter, I'll show you it right now. Now, if you look at this guy's timeline on Twitter, alright, apparently they had a holiday party, and they had, this band come out, and, they did it big. It was like an 80s holiday party or whatever. Did it big, right? Now, I'm thinking to myself, and I believe Dr. Rectango spoke on this in his diagnosis as well, because we've talked about this before. I'm sure gamers, you remember these times. Back in the day, when companies made a horrible product or less than quality product, we called them out on it, and guess what? They were one and done. That was it. Never heard of, never seen of again because your product was so bad, nobody liked it, and you didn't really get a second chance. These days, you have guys who make pretty bad products, such as The Order, because let's be honest here, that wasn't a game. It really wasn't. But if you liked it as a casual or whatever, that's fine. If that's your prerogative, you know what I mean? I'm not here to bag on the game that much. I'm here to talk about the second chance that gamers give developers these days. I think developers don't understand that back in the day, you had one shot and that was it. These days, because you always hear developers say, this cost X amount of money and this, and we're going broke and things of that nature. Your version of broke is a rich person's version of broke. Because if your game did not sell well, if the game was horribly, received, you wouldn't get a second chance. Like he says, okay, we're going to make a different game, or we're going to make another game, and we're going to make sure that we succeed next time. Before you didn't get it next time. So the chances that you get, you should, and the thing is, that's what I think bothers me enough as well. Not much people being very ungrateful. You don't hear developers saying, you know what, yeah, we messed up and it was really bad, but we're grateful to have a second chance. You don't hear it these days. We're going to get a second chance, and we're going to make sure we do it. You didn't like our games, so you can suck our dick. We've seen that before. You didn't like your games, so fuck you. We've seen that before. You know what I mean? Like, this, the developers in general. I'm not just saying this guy. I'm just saying developers in general. Ungrateful attitudes. Disgusting attitudes. I just feel as though, as a community, because for some reason, you just keep letting them get the fuck away with this stuff, don't you? You just keep letting them. And I don't understand why. I just want my video. Well, if the game is bad, what else is there? What else do you have to stand back on, to fall back on? I'm just wondering. What's keeping you supporting these developers if they're making bad games? Just wondering. Hey, Necro Storm. like, see, this is what I mean. Like, make horrible game. get bad reception, say that, you know, we don't care what you people think, we're going to keep making games. Where are you getting the money from to do it? I mean, we see a lot of developers, I'll put it like this, it's not all developers, we see a lot of developers who don't use a Patreon or a fund me, you know what I mean? I just feel as though this is something that needs to end in 2016. I think it does. I think the bad attitudes that have plagued our community as of late, because for some reason, everyone thinks they're like this movie badass. I'm going to do this, I'm going to say this, deal with it. And it's like, no, fuck you. And then when you go back at them, what do? Oh, I can't take this heat, blah, blah, blah. That's what they do. So how much of a badass really are you? You make video games. That's what you do, alright? There's no reason to be a badass or think that you're a rock star. You make video games. That's what you do. Okay? Let's keep it in perspective. And it seems like a lot of people don't keep it in perspective. Because our culture now is popular and it's obvious someone left the fucking gate open for all these idiots to walk in now. You've got to be kidding me that this is acceptable. And we talked about this before, how we felt as though not just our community, but the industry itself has lost their damn mind. The internet in general has lost their fucking mind. Some people said 2010. I said around 2011, 2012. I think it's time to reclaim that. I think it's time to settle the fuck down and say, look, this is unacceptable. This is not, this is something that you won't do. And look, and if you keep doing this, then we're not going to fucking support you. Because it's absolutely ridiculous. Like I said, this developer in general about the order, they didn't say anything wrong, okay? They're saying, hey, look, on our second try, we'll get it right. We're going to make sure we get it right. But you also have to understand that it's not one of those, we're grateful to have a second chance. Because let's be honest, without your consumers, without these gamers, without this community, you don't have anything. You don't. And that's why they took that stance this year. Gamers don't have to be your audience. They're trying to say branch out into more people. So when gamers get upset that you fuck them and they walk away from you, you'll still have other numbers that are replaceable of those gamers that they can rely on. That's what it is. It's not just about gaming is dead. No, they're trying to fucking replace you. You're expendable. You understand that? Like I said before, you're just a unit sold. These developers, I won't say all developers. There are some companies out there who are very nice and do look out for gamers. There are, like CD Projekt. They do right. You know? They do. But there are also, as we know, there's so many fucking developers that are just assholes. And I refuse to support them. Refuse. I don't understand why people don't have that same integrity. I don't get it. You know? And of course what I'm saying is wrong, because it goes against the grain of the community. Oh my god, if I see something on camera, on TV, and it's a flashy trailer, I'm all for it, yay! Come on, man. Look at these people for what they are. Look at them not as developers. Don't look at them as developers. Do yourself a favor and look at them as human beings and see how they act. And then you'll stop and be like, oh shit, like, yeah, this guy's a piece of shit. You know what I mean? Like, look at them that way. Take yourself out of this gaming community, out of this world, and look at them from a reality standpoint, and look at them as a human being and see how they act. And hold them accountable. That's simple. I really feel as though developers have it easier. Especially now where anyone can make a fucking game. You know what I mean? Whether it's indie or not, if you want to call yourselves indie, anyone can make a game these days. Anyone. But, like I said, it's one of those things where you have to see who's really being humble about these things. If a game got bad reviews, guess what? And you tried it yourself, and you said, look, this game's fucking bad. You know? Those developers, they should be like, you know what? We're sorry. You know? We've seen it not too long ago, did we not? With Afro Samurai. Came out and apologized. We are sorry. We're giving you your money back. Because that's how we feel. I just feel as though gamers, they just let things, they just fly on the radar too much. Or they don't care enough. And that's the thing, because apparently this weird rule on the internet, if you care too much, then you're sensitive. No, that's not it at all. You should care. Like I said, it's one of those things where people haven't learned yet to choose their battles wisely. That's what it is. And I feel as though when you have people who say, we need a safe space, oh my god. And here's the thing. When you talk about safe spaces, and for years, people have acted up. Especially when it comes to verbal, attacks and racism and bigotry. Things that are said to you via over headset while people are playing. or they send you hate mail or whatever, you know, and you still only complain about teabagging, yeah, there's a problem there. Like I said, it just seems like people aren't really focused. And I think next year we have it should start now. It should have started a long time ago to say, hey, we can correct this. But I know how people are, you know, when it comes to the new year, and everyone has a resolution, and we know how that's going to go, you know. But starting the new year, we can correct this. We can fix this, you know. Stop falling for so much bait. Stop deciding to shitpost so much. Talk with them logically, and we've seen it in the previous week. A lot of these people who are making this shit up, and you talk with them with some logic and common sense without trolling them or whatever, and guess what they do? They still block you. You want to know why? Because you got to them. Because they don't have a defense. Because they already think that you're a piece of shit and you're going to troll them and do all this type of stuff. But if you show them differently, then that narrative for them, it goes away. So then they got to make you they say that you don't exist to keep their narrative. Which means they have a problem with themselves. Not you. It's not you anymore. You know what I mean? You've done your part. But, yeah. I just hope that everyone has a good New Year coming up. Whether it's New Year or Chinese New Year or whatever. You know. And hopefully we can get back to playing games and having fun. I got Xenoblade Chronicles X. I'm having fun with it. But I don't want to get into that. Like I said, it's one of those things where go have fun. You know. These people, like I said, while you're playing video games, these people are spending majority of their time on Twitter trying to bait hate. That's what they're doing. What kind of gamer is that? I'm just wondering. No. What kind of person is that in the community? No. They're not part of the community. They're not part of gaming. You know? I don't care if they develop a game or not. When you have to do that to fellow gamers, because we're all supposed to be together here. But when you have to do that to fellow gamers, that should tell you something. They don't have our community in mind. And they're not the best representative. I don't give a shit how many panels they're on or how many fucking awards they win. If you have to do that towards gamers, alright, and realize that, hey, you know what I mean, maybe gamers aren't as bad as I'm making them out to be. They only feel as though they're bad when you don't fit their narrative. Then you're bad. Yeah, then you're bad. You know, because you don't believe what they believe. Or you like something that they don't like. Which goes to show you that they're taking the mentality of a child. You like something I don't like. This game has boobs in it. I don't like it. Well, I like it. Well, then you're a misogynist. Fuck out of here. Like, this is how it goes. It's summed up in a nutshell. That's how it is. Anyways, I hope everyone has a good 2016 coming up. Hopefully we can start fresh. And you know, throughout this holiday season, we've seen it on Christmas. Alright? I'm sure New Year's Day, they're going to start their shit. New Year's Eve, they're going to start their shit. Don't fall for it. Anyways, I'll talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe. Have a good New Year. Have friends, family. Have fun with them. Have your drinks. Be careful out there. You know it's kind of crazy during that time. I'll talk to y'all then. I'm out.